Yo, what's up? It's your boy, zFury, bringing you an analysis of Game 1 and here's the dorm match between UNT and Illinois-Purdue. So these comps are pretty in favor of us. Their comp is pretty garbage. I don't quite know what they're going for. I mean, I know what they're going for in the Falstad and the Brightwing. They want the mobility. They don't really utilize it this game, and they're just super squishy. It was super easy to draft around, and our burst between Greymane and Li Ming and our ability to get resets is just ridiculous. So I think they drafted really poorly here. It's going to show in the gameplay, but we did have a lot of crucial mistakes I wanted to go over. So a couple things to note. I took Wolfheart here because we have Malf, and I don't really need the mana on Q. And the Falstad is going Magestad, and Domavarian's their team captain. He's probably their best player, so just keep an eye on that. We have Zul bottom because he's just one of the strongest laners in the game right now. He can definitely hold against anyone on their team. One of the big parts of their draft is they didn't get anyone that can really lane. Falstad, is all right, but they have Brightwing bottom, so they have no support in these top roaming lanes. Checking the bush here, going in as 4. They have 3 people bottom. Could be scary for Weldon here. Playing pretty safe. We don't see the rest of them. Comes out, gets polyed. Let's get away here. Yeah, Shade is really strong. I think he's safe. God, what a strong ability. Nothing really going on right now. I didn't watch the VODs before, so I can't really skip to the action because I don't know when it's going to happen. Because this game happened a couple days ago, so it's not too fresh in my memory. We've had a lot of games since then. Just doing normal laning stuff. The game's pretty boring for the first minute, especially the fact that both of our comps don't really have any gank potential since we have to have Murden holding mid. They kept having 2 bottoms, so go to clear. Do I back here? No, we're just going to go up and contest for the first fight. I think we have the stronger first fight because, Vol is pretty weak early. Especially pre-4, she can't really do anything. Get the pick on ETC, I think the call was made. Falstad's here. Weldon is a little too far out in front. Just poking him back. Taking a lot of damage here. We have a lot more sustain than them, so it's really hard to tell who's winning. We're not really doing a good job in calling focus targets. So I think we go back and tap here and try to look for another fight. We had a lot of people that were rooted. Great roots by Phoenix, but just not enough communication to follow up on them. Like I said, our sustain with Malf is much better. They didn't go back and tap for some reason. They decided to stay around, so we're going to get the rest of these shots. Pretty big mistake by them. They do have level 4 here, so we need to be sure to get this, back off, regroup, get 4, which we did. Then we'll contest top. Weldon's just going to go bottom. Falstad doesn't really have the ability to fly up to the top shrine like he would mid shrine, so Weldon's just going to stay down there for the remainder of it. We're just going to 4v4 this up top. Murden goes in, misses his Q. It's pretty shitty. Like I said, we're just going to poke it out because our sustain with Malfurion's much better. Not only do we have better healing than Brightwing, while it might not be AoE, the throughput's just nicer. The mana is big. Good chunk on Jaina there. That's going to make this fight pretty impossible for them to win. And that root followed up by the stun just means we win this fight outright. Get the kill on Brightwing here. Resets on Li Ming is just going to make this Vola dead. And it's a free point for us. And Weldon, he's Zul. He's pushing the lane. He's just a much better laner, so we get a lot off of it. He still should have his active here. I think he's fine. Yeah, he's fine. We push with the wave. We know they had the back. They had 2 dead. So might as well get as much damage as we can while this tower's pushing. The tower was going to get all this anyway. But the more damage we do, the more that the tower accomplishes, or the shrine. So now the shrines will spawn 2 minutes after the final shot was made. So at about I can't remember. I think it's like 5 minutes 45 seconds, which means before then at about 5:30. I'm hoping we capture the camp. I don't know if we do. Back to normal laning. Murden mid, tri-lane top, Weldon bottom. Dom's out of mana, so Weldon's got this lane pretty locked up. We go for the gank here. If he lands a stun, no, he doesn't. Stun root is just huge there. If he was able to get the stun, I don't know if it was off cooldown, that definitely would have been a dead right wing. Calgar fighting for the vision. The vision is really important here, so we want to try to keep it as much as possible, because if any of these ganks are going to work, we need this. If we don't have this, the ganks are just not going to happen between top and mid. So we have almost a full level of XP ahead. The team fight was 2 kills, which isn't really enough to have this much of a difference in XP. We are just soaking really well here. They are doing their camp and they're saving it. We are doing our camp. I believe we save it as well. It is more dangerous for us to save our camp because they have Falstad. Their Falstad probably isn't ballsy enough in a tournament match to go for steal, like a quarter likes to do. But we actually have no way to really contest this. So it's really a good idea for them to save it. It was a good call by them. So the reason you want these top camps is because you want this pressure pushing top while your whole team is going to contest this bottom one. If you don't have a camp and one of the camps is pushing, you can just stall at the bottom and your camp will take the top 4. We capture at the same time, so it really kind of shows you how ingrained the meta is right now. These are pretty much just going to stalemate here. We do get the first advantage. I'd like to see a little bit... Oh, he's doing good. He's in front. I'm going to catch out on Falstad here. It's pretty big. If the roots came a little bit earlier, that would have been a crazy team fight. I think right now the call is just to clear the wave. We don't really want these easy camps fighting for them. In a team fight, it can prove disastrous because people aren't really paying attention to creeps or paying attention to champions. Yeah, so we're going to clear these out and then we'll make our way in. Getting some poke out, some good defensive roots. Weldon's going around the back. Probably not the best idea, but not awful either. ETC going in way deep. Get the early kill here. Mouth backed in this corner. You never want to see that. We don't have our support here, but our burst is just ridiculous. We're about to be 10. We make the call here to just jump. We're 10. I go for the throat. Yeah, they're dead. And we don't really have mouth, so we can't win this fight as hard as I'd like. But I think we do get the rest of the shots. They do give it up. They know there's really nothing they can do to contest anymore, especially since they're not 10. They're just going to soak XP. ETC's going to go top. Our Knights actually did win. It's pretty lucky, just the fact that the waves were going in our favor before that. Not much we can really do on the map. Can't push an advantage right now, so we're just going to get easy camp safely. Their easy camp isn't up, so they can't really do anything right now. They're kind of just floundering. Let's go ahead and talk about ultimates. No Ring of Frost. Not the worst. Obviously, Blink Heal, Gust, Strafe, No Ring of Vengeance, and Mosh. Mosh is going to be the biggest thing that we're talking about in comms right now that we need to avoid. As long as we can avoid getting hard moshed, then we should be good. We don't really have any stuns between Mouth, Li Ming, Zul, and Greymane, so it's kind of scary. We have to focus on the fact that our tank doesn't get moshed, which is really hard to do because he's almost always in front. So the positioning of the rest of the team is going to be paramount in these upcoming engagements. Going for this gank on ETC. Just putting some pressure. Not really expecting a kill, but they are 2 bottom, 2 mid, so we figure we can get some damage off on the structure. We do have a lead, but there's no real way we can force an advantage here. We don't actually have a talent lead ahead, so the lead isn't really that huge, so we don't want to do any crazy dives or anything like that right now. The fact that they have so much mobility in Brightwing and Falstad means we can't really safely pick someone. So what we can kind of do here is bush camp though. And because they're so squishy, we go out, go for the Jaina. She's dead just because Li Ming's range is ridiculous and the zombie walls were amazing. The Gust here is super scary. Followed up by the Mosh. There's nothing we can really do to stop it. They don't have the damage to really kill anyone there. It was either they didn't have the damage or they didn't have the focus. So that situation could have been a lot scarier. That's the reason we didn't really want to dive, because we don't have that much of an advantage. And the fact that Falstad has that mobility to come up from bottom whenever he wants, and that Gust, puts us in a really dangerous spot, as you saw. It was kind of nice that happened, though. It was 1-for-1, so not pretty even on both sides. But what it did do was provide us a wake-up call on what we need to be worried for. The fact that we have a better comp means we don't really have win condition, we have loss conditions, and we just saw one of them there. You know, it's kind of like when your life flashed before your eyes. Mouth get chunked out there. Li Ming putting on some damage. Alec walking a little far too forward. A little caught it as well. I think we just walk away from this pretty unscathed. And because we have Malfurion, no harm, no foul, as long as no one died. Now, the reason none of us are trading going top is because this bottom one's really important. If you see them commit to top, you can just take boss. So most of these fights, even though there's top and bottom split, everyone still fights for the bottom one. We know we can win a team fight. We know our team fight's much better. I think what we're doing here is we're waiting for the passive XP and this wave to get us 13. That'll give us a talent advantage, which I think we call to be a lot more aggressive here, or we should. So Alex should be playing a lot more forward. We're not really going to kill the ETC. We need to go for these squishy back targets that ETC can't, kill. We need to fight before they're level 13. And we get our fight. We get the roots. The Gust is a really good disengage, but now they have nothing, and we can get this for free. They know they can't really fight without Gust. As long as we play around the Mosh, there's no displacement to get us into the Mosh. So the only way they can win a fight is mistake by us, which is never a mistake, or never a point you want to be in. You always want to be in the driver's seat. Really good positioning by Alec here. He knows he's not really going to die. They're not really going to focus him. Allows us to get a lot of free poke off here. We don't want to fight while this wave's up, so we have the better wave clear. I think we're going to clear the wave and then look for an engage, or we should. A lot of damage from Li Ming off there. I think we go in here. I don't really care if I die. I really just need a kill. Gust is back up. I just need a kill to get Li Ming her resets. So I go in, I trade 1-for-1 and a lot of damage, and Li Ming gets her resets, and I think that's worth it. I don't think that's the first time that happens. It's the first time that happens where we go 1-for-1, but I think in the next time, all in the subsequent team fights, I'm going to get a kill, and Li Ming's going to get 2 or 3 in return. It's kind of what you want to do with this comp. Greymane isn't really your focal point, it's Li Ming. So this one's pretty fresh. It's going to be a whole nother set of team fight objectives coming up here, so I think we're just going to push the wave and then look to get a position on it. Should be fishing for these Qs more from Murden. ETC is looking to get a Mosh here. Poor positioning by Murden, but it shouldn't matter. I negate the Gust, get 2 kills here, get a reset on my ultimate, while Wilson and Calgar clean up on the backside. So that shouldn't have gone as well as it did for us, because our Murden pretty much died immediately. But because we had such a huge advantage, I don't think we were 16 for that fight. Yeah, we haven't skilled up yet. We weren't 16 for the fight. We didn't have a talent advantage, but because we were able to get a quick kill and Li Ming was able to get her resets, we're able to just snowball the fight. I was even able to get a reset on my ultimate and get 2 kills there. What we need to be working on for the future, though, is that the ETC could have had a much better wraparound mosh. We weren't really looking for it as much as we could have been. If he was a little bit better of a player, that could have been a lot more dangerous. So we got pressure top, so what we're going to do is try to take both their easy camps, it looks like. See Falstad's not really in a position to fly and actually be there in time to stop this camp, so we're just going to take it. One's going to push bottom safely. I think we're going to try to just get these structures, vanilla push, and then go take our easy camp. I think we want to try to force an engage here if we can, so I think that's what Murden's looking for, because we have that level 16, which is probably, other than 20, the biggest talent discrepancy you can have in the game. So once you have this, you really want to be looking for that fight. It's just what we're doing. If Murden was a little bit up more, we could have got that stun on the Falstad and he would have been dead. I shouldn't have been the one in front there. So we're going to have a couple team fights coming up because the temples spawn in 20 seconds. There's not really anything we can do right now to put a lot of map pressure on. And the fact that we are only a talent ahead, or not a talent ahead, means that our lead is pretty unsubstantial right now. So we do have to play this careful. We can't just go in gung-ho. Li Ming does have mirror ball now, so the damage is going to be pretty insane on a single target if we're able to isolate. Falstad's playing very far forward. We could have easily picked him out there. Like, we're just playing a little bit too cautious in that scenario. Not quite sure if that ultimate was decent there. He's going for the mosh. We split off really well. I like our positioning in this fight. He can't really get a good mosh. We go in, kill the Jaina immediately. Go and reset. I don't really care about my life here. Welding gets picked up on the back end, but they are way too far deep. I think we just clean up from this point. There's nothing Brightwing can really do to save them. It's a really good flank by the Falstad. I wasn't expecting it. I think if the team played a little bit more aggressive with me, I mean, I obviously shouldn't have gone in there, but I think we should have been able to pick up a lot more kills than that. It should not have been a 2-for-2 engage with how hard we won it and how quick the Jaina died. So it's a 3v3 down here. I'm not quite sure who wins this. They're obviously going to be there before us. So we want to get as much shots as we can and then just leave. I think we call for a hard back here. Yeah, there, you see the pings. So we're going to push out the waves, trade, get mid, make sure they're not doing boss. That's a big component with the split shrines. Is if they have bottom and we're going for a top one, we want to make sure we have vision on the boss and they're not going for it. They don't do it here, but just something to keep in mind. We still do have a 2-level advantage. No talent, but 2 levels is nothing to scoff at talent-wise. ETC just getting chunked out by that mirror ball. We have a lot of shots. We go in super deep. I die, I don't get a kill. If you don't really trade 1-for-1 with Greymane, it's not worth it, but we'll see what they can do with the fight here. Brightwing is not able to heal. Weldon gets a Rudolph on Ball. That should be a dead Vala. Tori needs to be way more aggressive. Let's get the kill on Falstad. No. Should be a dead ETC. I'd like to see E used for Murden more to body block, if at all possible. 1-for-1. We are going to take this. We are level 20 now, so that was big. I could have played that fight a lot better. Greymane, if you go 1-for-1, it's usually worth it, especially with the Li Ming on your team. If you don't get anyone, you just get damage. It's definitely not worth it. Let's see. Are they able to get away? Dom actually just saves Dennis there. Could have been a lot worse. Our lose conditions are this ETC and that Falstad's Gust. If he was able to get in behind them and gust them back, and they were able to get 3 kills there with catch-up XP, could have been disastrous. So just safely doing camps. We have 20 advantage, so we want to get this camp and look to pressure them. When you have this 20 to 19 talent discrepancy where it's almost a full level, you need to force. You need to take engages that otherwise you wouldn't, because it is just the biggest power gap in the game. So even if you take a fight that looks like it's not optimal, you're just going to win it. Situations where they were able to get out with slivers of health bottom should not be an issue anymore with Li Ming's level 20 slow on their Disintegrate Beam. So if we win a fight here, we're going to win it hard. Weldon gets the root off on Jaina here. If we follow up, that should be a dead Jaina. Yep, Falstad flies in, foolishly to his own death. Tried to get a quick gust out and save the Jaina, but nothing really she could do. Her not taking Ice Block here was pretty awful by them. There was many... She's a really easy focus target if she doesn't have Ice Block. So say in that situation she had Ice Block, the Falstad would have had enough time to come in and gust us away and, you know, possibly live. They'd be down ultimates and be in a shitty situation, but obviously not as bad as 2 dead and us getting boss. Boss was free, there's nothing really to talk about there. They got as much points as they can, they got the hell out of there. We're just going to get it. And don't think we can chase a kill here. We're going to get the vision so we can see everything. Walden's going to go clear the camp because even if they come in as 3, we're still 4 here. And they have to deal with boss. Another option was we could have pushed with boss, got a free keep, which is probably what we should have done in hindsight. I would have pushed bottom with the boss, got the keep, then took this, got more damage off. But it shouldn't be a big deal. We already have mid. Bot's going to get a lot of damage, and our win condition is the next shrine spawn. They do have level 20 now, so even though we are ahead, we have all this map advantage, we have pressure. If we don't use the waves to our advantage, having these down isn't going to mean anything in the upcoming engagements. At this point, all levels do is, you know, give you minor stat differences. For all intents and purposes, in a team fight scenario, we're pretty even. So at this point of the game, you don't want to split push, you just want to stay as 5. The only thing that's really going to lose us this game is someone getting picked out. And I really like the fact that we have Muradin up a lot more this game than we have in previous games and scrims. Full bush control. Want to make sure that we bait them as much as possible to come in. As soon as we see them on the map, we'll do the camp. See, we're not doing it, so they're going to come in. Face check here, and that should be a dead Falstad. But that level 20 gust is going to keep us out of the fight. No mosh. We don't really have any follow from that point, but they're 2 huge ults down, and we can pretty much have free reign on the map right now. Mosh is down for 100 more seconds, so that's going to be a pretty big power spike. 2 minutes this late in the game. It's so much time. I think we're just going to try to vanilla push us in. We have nothing to be scared about here with Mosh down. The fact that we have Mirror Ball, Zul Skeletons, we can just push this in freely. There's nothing they can really do to contest. That's going to make these shrines a lot scarier, the fact that the shots don't have to go bottom. Sometimes to take an advantage, you don't have to kill anyone. You just have to force them to use abilities. And see, all this lane pressure from these super minions is just going to make it really difficult for them to contest. Even if we just pull back and do a dance and no one gets the shots, we're coming out ahead. I'm pretty happy with the way the team fights have been going, so I don't think we do that. I think we are looking to fight here. The fact that we have it as an option. Stone form popped really early there. I think. Might have just been a regrowth. That just might be how much that fucking heals for. It's pretty ridiculous. They're looking to flank here. We're doing really good about avoiding this mosh. Pretty good skellies there by Weldon. That really just starts off the engage here. And I think we go in and just try to get a fight off. That tunnel is huge. Kagar, not with the team. Gets picked off early. Not what you want to see. Which means we don't have the resets here. This fight could have gone a lot better. Luckily, we still get some pickoffs on Squishy here. Misses the Q. Just got to up that individual skill. The mosh is going to be really killer here. And the fact that he does have death mosh here, not really anything Weldon can do to avoid this death mosh. But pretty ill-advised 3v3. The fact that mosh was still up. You don't often see mosh still up at the time, so it's not something you're thinking about, but you got to be. They had to go back and deal with these super minions, so even though they had 2-1 and we only had to support, we were still able to get all the shots off. Now all their keeps are down, so they're going to have major pressure here. Great roots to stop the Volstead. But because it's a mage stat, it's so much damage. The fact that he is chasing Dennis right now means he's not getting the shots, which is pretty big for us. He does get the kill, which is quite unfortunate, but they still are 2 down. The core is at 14% health, and we do have waves pushing in. So they have to have sent 2 back. So even though we only have 2 alive right now, they only have 2 that can pressure. Winto used preemptively there. I go in and try to get the kill on the Volstead. He's very, very low. We're pushed out. We're just getting as much points as we can, or enough shots as we can, because, you know. And we get it. That's how you got to do it. Even if we didn't get the shots there, which we did, as you can see, it's yellow. We had enough minions in the base threatening. We had 3 or 4 catapults from the mid lane, 3 or 4 catapults coming from the top, and 2 coming from the bottom. So they had it all in there, and they were pretty much in a no-win scenario at that point. Could have played that a lot better. We could have played to the strengths of our comp a lot better. Really kind of just shows you how strong Gust is as a disengage tool, especially if we have hard burst like that. A couple positional misplays from almost everyone on the team in that game. I had to give an MVP to this game. It would be to Dennis. He didn't really get caught out, other than the top line there, where he kind of underestimated Falstad's mage damage. But, you know, it's a new build, so not quite used to it yet. But all in all, good game. 1-0 over Indiana-Purdue. So expect a Game 2 video very soon.